Former Maple Leaf Tyler Bozak has written a heartfelt farewell to Toronto. Bozak, who signed with the St. Louis Blues this weekend after spending the first 9 years of his professional career with Toronto, took a trip down memory lane in his goodbye essay in the Players' Tribune on Tuesday. Tyler Bozak, who signed a 3-year, $15 million deal with the St. Louis Blues, has fond memories of his time with the Toronto Maple Leafs. Mark Humphrey, The Associated Press, "Being a Maple Leaf is all I've ever known. So before I leave, I just wanted to say thank you," Bozak wrote. Read more. Leafs trade Matt Martin to Islanders for minor league goalie. Article continued below. How John Tavares became a Maple Leaf. Von Riemsdyk returns to Flyers. Bozak signs with Blues. Bozak recalled his first moments in Toronto, and how former Leafs coach Ron Wilson scribbled his name on a line with Phil Kessel, who would become one of his best friends during the course of their time together as Leafs. "And from the moment I got to Toronto in the summer of 2009, I knew I had made the right choice," wrote Bozak, who was a relatively unknown forward with the University of Denver, and was overlooked in his draft year before signing a 2-year, entry-level contract with the Leafs in April 2009, his sophomore year in college hockey. "I was living with Christian Hansen, another college free agent, and Victor Stalberg, who'd been drafted by the Leafs in '06. We worked out at the facility together, went to development camp together, learned the city together. I'll never forget the time we were out one afternoon that summer and these kids, like 15 and 16-year-olds, recognized us. We hadn't even worn a Leafs jersey yet. I heard them talking to their friends like, 'Oh yeah, that's Bozak. He had 34 points in 41 games for Denver last year. I think he'll be a good center, but he needs to work on his shot.' That kid was right," Bozak continued, "but what he and I didn't know was that the better I got at passing, the more success I was going to find. Because when I got called up for good in January 2010, I got put on a line with the best shooter in the league." Article continued below. That was Kessel, who would become Bozak's roommate. The two were, in fact, so close, they became the object of some chirping in the Leafs dressing room, where the pair were quickly dubbed Bert and Ernie, a reference to the Sesame Street characters. "I can still see Ron Wilson's handwriting on the whiteboard in my mind from January 12, my second ever NHL game." Bozak wrote, "The line on the chalkboard, Kulemin Bozak Kessel, our line scored that night. I got an assist," Bozak wrote, about the line, that when in doubt, pass to Phil. Bozak also offered some insights into Kessel, who was a much celebrated and maligned character during his Leafs days. "See, the thing you need to know about Phil Kessel is that he's a quiet guy," Bozak wrote. "Okay, you probably know that, but it's why we got along so well, I think. We're different. I'm a bit more outgoing, I like to crack jokes, and he's a bit more reserved. Phil and I had the same interests. A lot of nights you'd find us on the couch, watching a game with Stella. Stella is a golden doodle, the light of Phil's life. I got to know Stella after Phil asked me if I wanted to be roommates. It was a few years after I got to Toronto, and the way he did it was totally Phil. He just said, 'So you want to live together or something?' Or, I wasn't going to say no. He had a sick apartment downtown. It was a no-brainer." Some nights, Bozak added, I'd be in another room in our place and I'd hear Phil's voice. No, I just didn't play well tonight. Yeah, I dunno really." I'd walk into the room, and he'd be in mid-conversation with Stella. I understood why. Sometimes I did the same thing. Stella was a good listener and a big hockey fan." Bozak also recalled how Stella was like a canine clairvoyant, especially in that infamous loss to Boston in Game 7 of the 2013 playoffs. "In fact, it was just me and her watching Game 7 of our first-round series against the Bruins in 2013. I was hurt and had to miss the last 2 games of the series, so I stayed in Toronto instead of traveling to Boston for the last game." Bozak wrote, "I remember, after Nazem Kadri scored to make it 4-1, the texts were rolling in from friends and family. 'Congrats Bozy. What a series. Good luck in the next round.' Stella gave me a look like don't reply to a single one of those texts." Bozak added, "You know how animals can sort of sense when disaster is coming. I think she knew." Stella left the room, and it wasn't 4-1 much longer. "We lost, and it was terrible. It killed me that I wasn't there. You all meant the world to me. Every conversation in public, even the ones where you told me I needed to be better, will stick with me. Because you cared, no matter what. And as a player, that's what you want. Every high five, every selfie, every moment, I appreciate them all so much. I'll miss you guys a lot. Mark Zwilinski is a sports reporter based in Toronto. Follow him on Twitter, @MarkZwil.